Beautiful day. Blue sky, sun is out, not too hot, not too cold. Humidity is gone finally. Perfect day to enjoy the outdoors. So let's stay inside all day and build a Socket 7 computer. Hello, this is Billy Core from the Nostalgia Mall, and today we're going to be building ourselves a Socket 7 system because I've been needing a appropriate computer to stream Windows 3.1 and Windows 95 stuff with. And my Pentium 3 Carolina Flyer does 95 fine, but obviously it's a little bit too new for Windows 3.1. But Windows 3.1 is something that I would like to be able to stream from for my weekly live streams, so I figured why not build my own. This system will be running both MS-DOS 622 / Windows for Workgroups 3.11 and Windows 95 thanks to a SD card adapter. But first we got to take a look at the motherboard we're going to use, the heart of the system. I forget who made this motherboard, but it has an SIS 530 chipset. This is a little newer than what I would normally go with for something with Windows 3.1, but this is what I have on hand and it will still work. Currently has a AMD K62 in it, clocked at 400 megahertz, but we will not be using that chip. It's a little too rich for Windows 3.1, so we will actually be downgrading that. More on that in a little bit. I believe that's 64 megs of PC133 SD RAM. I guess the CMOS battery is still good. This motherboard was originally in my Ultimate Packard Bell build that I used with that sleeper Packard Bell case a few years back. And last time I used it, it worked just fine. But we see we have 3 PCI slots, 2 ISA slots. And for I/O, we have 2 PS2 ports, 2 USB ports, parallel, serial, VGA, game port, and sound. But for video and sound, we'll be adding my own cards for that to take care of that. It does have a crystal sound chip on it, but had a little difficulty finding the drivers for it, so I'm just going to go with a standard issue Sound Blaster 16. It'll do the job just fine, obviously. So let's go ahead and get started. I guess the first thing I'll do is go ahead and change out the processor. I know it feels weird downgrading instead of upgrading, but you know, for this system's new purpose, this is just how it's going to be. First I gotta find my flathead bit for my screwdriver so I can pry that metal bracket off. On these old systems that use these little metal brackets to hold the CPU cooler in place, it's always nerve-wracking because 1, you may scratch the motherboard, or 2, you may tear your fingers up or your hand up and have to go to the ER, or 3, all of the above. So we'll give it our best shot here. And, yep, went and scratched the motherboard. I don't think I broke anything. Maybe this isn't the best driver for that. Okay, got a bigger bit. If I get it from over here instead. And it's on there good. This might have to be something I'll have to do off camera. And by the way, I normally don't like building computers and stuff like this on camera, because everything just gets in the way. Especially when something goes wrong, like potentially this. Oh, I was able to do it with just my fingers. Okay, I think I got some thermal paste caked in on there. I'll clean that off. And we'll take our AMD chip out of here, which is covered in thermal grease. But it is a K62. We'll just set that aside over there. And in its place, we're going to put in one of the old standbys. This is a Pentium 233 MMX. Always a good choice for a system like this. Admittedly, still a little fast for Windows 3.1, but since I'm also going to be running Windows 95 on here, this is probably a wise option. Okay, now let's see how it goes. Okay, got it in there. Let's go ahead and pull the lever down. And I'll go ahead and thermal paste it up and put the cooler back on. Alright, there we go. Got the CPU on there. So I guess next I'll show you a couple of the cards I'm going to be putting in here. I got them in a bag. First of all, our aforementioned sound card. Sound Blaster 16, one of the newer ones, but it'll still work fine. Actually has a July 17th, 1996 date code, and I recognize that type of date code. This means that this came out of a Gateway 2000. This was in the bag. I'm not going to put it in this system, but it was in the Ultimate Packard Bell build zip drive. We'll just put that aside. Got another idea for it. There's our I/O shield, if it doesn't fit with the one that's in the case. Floppy drive, gotta have one of those. SD card adapter, and this one is actually one I've never used before. This one uses micro SD cards, so yeah, we'll see how that works. We got a Linksys network card. Hopefully it'll work. I've had some flakiness before with this card when it comes to Windows for Work groups, so we'll wait and see. CD audio cable and the various drive cables. And you're probably asking yourself what kind of case we'll be using. Well, it's going to be this one. I don't know the manufacturer of it, but this is actually a new old stock case that I bought off of someone on Facebook Marketplace a couple of weeks ago just for this build. And this may actually be a temporary case for this because I have another potential case coming my way at some point that may be really, really cool. So, yeah, this came with everything except the original box. It was in styrofoam, but I took those off, so all we have to do now is just lift the plastic off. And here we are. It's a nice little sturdy case. Great big power button. I love the blue trim on here. It has kind of has more of a 2000s look, I will admit, but it's still retro enough for a Socket 7 motherboard, I do believe. And the headphone jacks and USB ports are in an odd place right there on the side. Of course, we won't be using that on this build. And there's the back of the case. Well, something just fell. And yes, we will be using that power supply. Probably opening Pandora's box doing that, but yeah. And it's got its own I/O plate right here. I don't know if we'll use it or not. I might just use the plate that came with the motherboard, since it already has the stuff knocked out for it. And again, I might be reusing this case for another build at some point, maybe a Pentium 4, I don't know. I've never really built too many Pentium 4 systems. So let's let me find my where I put my screwdriver. There it is, and we'll open her up. According to the seller, the screws and everything should still be in here. Again, this has never been used before. It's new old stock. Okay. Looks like we have a fan on the side there. Oh, actually has 3 screws. Usually these side panels only have 2. That's a new one for me. There we go. I'll set that down there. Okay, first of all, there's the power supply made by a company I've never heard of, Tiger Pro. We'll see if we get fireworks. Presumably the screws and all those good bits are in there. Got a power cord. There's no feet on the bottom of the case. I'm wondering if they're in this box. Let's find out. Yep, there's the feet. Okay, we get a bunch of screws and standoffs. Pin assignment. This must be for the front panel connectors. And we get a tiny little PC speaker. I was hoping it would have a bigger cone speaker in there, but I can probably add one myself. So I guess without further ado, we should go ahead and get the motherboard screwed in here. After a bunch of fiddling around, it turns out this motherboard tray slides out on its own, so that's really cool. Okay, managed to get the motherboard on here. I got a little bit thrown for a loop because this is an ATX case and this is a micro ATX motherboard. And normally you can just move these standoffs over to another hole and screw them in for a micro ATX, but wasn't working. I had to use these little pieces right here to screw into that go in kind of like this. But I've never had to use one of these before. I've never seen them, so that's kind of interesting. Okay, even though I think it's still good, I'm going to go ahead and change out the CMOS battery on here just so we can have a fresh start with a known good battery that'll last us a long time, hopefully. By the way, this motherboard was actually donated to the channel by the Flying Scotsman several years ago. So hopefully it still works. Well, there we go. I guess we can go ahead and slide this back into the case. Okay, finally managed to get it in there. I was putting it in from the wrong side, but it's in there now, so let's continue. Okay, I took the drive blanks out, so we'll go ahead and put our drives in, starting with our CD drive, which I forgot to show earlier. It's a newish, actually, CDRW drive. I won't be recording with it, but it's the only one I have on hand at the moment, so it'll have to do. Okay, looks pretty good in there. Okay, CD drive is in. Now for the floppy drive. Where is it? Right here. I need to take this little bracket out for the SD card adapter. Okay, I got that piece out. Isn't the best looking floppy drive in the world, but it'll do the job. At least it's the right color for this job. Alright, there we go. Now for the SD adapter. Here it is. And I'll go ahead and attach the IDE cable. Just so make things easier. Okay. Okay. It's called something. Okay, that's everything drive related installed. Forgot to mention this. This is the video card we'll be using. This is a ATI Rage Pro 3D Pro. Don't know if I'll be keeping it in this system because I'm not sure of the Windows 3.1 compatibility. So if I wind up having issues with it, I might be ordering a S3 Verge off of eBay. So, but hopefully this card will still work. Okay, so for once in my life, I decided to use what little brain power I actually have. And I went ahead and swapped out the power supply with a known good one. This Tiger Pro, I mean, it may work, but I'm just not in the mood to extinguish any fires right now. Besides, it's almost Labor Day, not 4th of July. So we'll just use this good A-open power supply. And we can sleep better tonight. So let me go ahead and connect the power connectors. Okay, once again, a change of plans. This connector right here on that power supply I put in here a while ago was too big, and it was not going in because of these connectors up here, these jumpers. So once again, I had to get another power supply. I borrowed this out of my Dell Dimension 2350. Actually, I could probably just put that A-open power supply in there. So this should be a little bit more appropriate. Let's see here. There we go. Yes, success. There we go. I think that's all the power that we need. We can hide this 4-pin connector away because we don't need it. Get out of here, you're not needed. And now my favorite part, the front panel headers. Okay, I went on ahead and connected the drive cables as well. While I was at it, hopefully I got the front panel stuff right. So let's go ahead and put in our expansion cards. We'll start with our video card that may or may not be staying. Okay, it's in there. Find a screw. Go. Okay, I think next will be the network card. We'll just put it right under the video card. By the way, the onboard SIS video I couldn't find appropriate drivers for either. Go. Nope, can't say I really care for the blinking plates on this case. Go. Screw, where are you? Yeah, that might have been the last of that type that came with the case. Alright, now the sound card. We'll go ahead and connect the CD audio cable to it. This is a sound card I got at Southeast Game Exchange back in July. ISA sound cards are the best sound cards. Prove me wrong. Go. Get that screwed in. I'm sorry that's off camera. And we'll route this cable over to the CD drive. Well, I think this computer is now built. Guess the next thing we need to do is test it. Okay, I got it mostly hooked up except for the power cord. I know it's off camera, but this is the way it has to be. I got it in place of the Carolina Flyer Pentium 3 because this is only a 2-port KVM and I need to find my 4-port. Okay, heard something. Let's turn the monitor on. Hit the power button. And we get a post beep. It is not happy with something. And I'm not getting power LEDs either. Could just be the RAM. Let's not panic. Okay, got another stick of RAM in there. Let's try this again. I hope it's not the CPU, because I actually spent money on that. I don't know why a socket 7 wouldn't like a Pentium MMX. Okay, no errors this time. System's failed to finish booting for 3 times. Press delete key to enter BIOS setup. That's probably way too much RAM, it looks like, for this. We still got the date and time right, so we probably didn't have to replace anything. Now, it was saying it was a Pentium MMX 166, but this is actually a 233. One thing I did do, I think what may have actually fixed this was, I think the video card wasn't plugged in all the way. So at least we know the CPU is good, even if it is running a little slower than I wanted to. Let's just see if it likes that. Maybe setting it to 233 will do something. Hopefully not burn the computer up. It says 233. And we'll see about lowering the RAM a little bit. And I don't have a SD card in there at the moment, so it's not going to boot as expected. Okay, looks like the lowest I can get the memory is roughly 128, so we will just have to learn to live with that. I guess I'll get the computer buttoned up, and well, first I got to figure out the LED issue, but then we can get to installing an OS. Okay, it's actually the next day. Building this computer took a lot out of me yesterday, so I needed to rest up, and I had an appointment to get to, so we're here the next day. We've got my 64 gig SD card in here, which will be running Windows 95, and we'll just briefly go through part of the Windows 95 setup. See, I booted from a 98 boot disk, so we'll go ahead and format the drive. It already has a second partition with all my game files on it. I was using this in my Pentium 3 system for its Windows 95 install. So it's kind of split 30-30 or 50-50, whatever you want to call it. Win 95. Go ahead and make our directories. The Windows Someone in a previous video told me about this feature. You press F3 and it brings up what you previously typed. So the person that did that, thank you. And now we'll copy the Windows setup files. By the way, I had to switch out CDRW drives because the one I was using had a horrible time ejecting. So I replaced it with a completely identical drive. It still has some trouble ejecting, but I can get it to open a little bit more frequently. The eject belt is probably shot on it. Ideally, I'd rather just have a plain old good-looking beige CD-ROM reader in here. And I just noticed it looks like I probably don't have the hard drive LED connected properly because it is not blinking at all. Which is unfortunate. That means I have to take it back apart. By the way, the version of Windows 95 we'll be using is 95D Lite from Razorback. One of my most preferred versions of Windows 95. It just has better driver support for newer hardware, a little bit, some extra features, extra goodies. Just all around a good little OS. I checked our floppy disk and our CD. Control-Alt-Delete. I'm glad I have a motherboard that does the floppy drive seek. I love that sound. Alright. Okay, 95 setup, here we go. Just realized I might be getting in the way of the camera. So let me see if I can finagle my way around this. I have full confidence that Windows 95 will be just fine on here. It's Windows 3.1 that I'm not so sure about. But if it is, I guess it's no big deal. We can just swap out the video card and or network card if we have to, because those are the two components that I feel a little bit leery about with this computer with its 3.1 compatibility. Okay, we have no PCMCIA, no SCSI. Okay, all accessories, no communications, no disk tools, all multimedia. We'll worry about network later. Sees it as an ATI VGA Wonder. Don't want a startup disk. And we'll let it do its thing here. Gotta love those drums. That screen will never, ever get old. Okay, why did that sound so scratchy? Oh, and why is the mouse running so slow? I think something's not right here. Okay, now it seems to be fine. Well, nope. Okay, I don't know why the game port's disabled. Get rid of that. And we'll restart it. Okay, that sounded better. Okay, so it's actually been several days. Had to do some troubleshooting, and I'm cutting it kind of close because this is the day before the video is supposed to be released. But I could not get the lagging issue to go away completely with the sound in Windows 95, so I did a scan disk, and it found some bad clusters on the SD card, so I ordered a new one, put that in there, installed Windows 95 D Lite again. Same problem. I was getting some sound lagging along with some mouse lagging as well. So I decided to dump D Lite for regular old Windows 95B, and didn't have any sound lagging, but I was still having some other issues that I was having before from D Lite, like it just shutting down when I tell it to reboot, or just hanging when I tell it to reboot, and annoying stuff like that. So I decided, I'll go ahead and turn it back on, to go with something a little bit more sensible. I decided to go with Windows 98 Second Edition with 98 Lite installed, so it'll still have the Windows 95 look and feel. And I have to have this startup menu because exiting into MS-DOS mode from Windows gives me a Windows protection error when I do that, so I have to have this boot menu here to conveniently get into MS-DOS mode if I have to by using command prompt only there, but also copied over the Windows 95 splash screens to make it a little bit more authentic. Oh, and also on Windows 95B, installing the USB drivers for this system completely destroyed the OS install. So yeah, it's a lot happier with Windows 98 with 98 Lite. Let it finish loading there. So yeah, it seems to be working just fine now, thankfully. Very responsive. I just can't exit into DOS mode. I actually have to reboot and go into command prompt. But DOS games seem to work just fine anyway in plain old Windows. In a DOS box, such as Hocus Pocus. Got the sound down a little bit. Also, I had to change sound cards off camera. The Sound Blaster 16 I had in here was just not working right in Windows 98. It detected it just fine and everything, but I couldn't get sound, and whenever it would try to play any kind of sound, it would just lock up. So I swapped it out for another Sound Blaster 16 card I had lying around, and everything seems to be a lot better now. This is a good little platforming game, by the way. Probably have to stream this Sunday from Apogee. They're always known for good games. And we've also got MS-DOS 622. Load all the drivers up and all the other doodads. I don't remember if I got this on camera the other day, but I did switch to a Netgear network card just because the drivers work better in Windows for Workgroups. Still kind of an overkill system for Windows 3.1, but hey, I needed something to stream Windows 3.1 with. So, I also did something I've never done before. I actually created some extended DOS partitions just to store some game files on, including, of course, the Humongous Entertainment games like Fatty Bear. No need for a CD now. And we'll blow up the machine. Yep, truly never obsolete. Because it doesn't last long enough to become obsolete. So anyway, this video has gone on way too long. I think we better go ahead and cut it right here. Expect more of this computer in the future, especially during my live streams. Until next time, this is Billy Core, signing off. Thank you for visiting the Nostalgia Mall. If you liked what you saw, please like, subscribe, and follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You may also support me on Patreon if you would like. Until next time, this is Billy Core, signing off.